Which expression is equivalent to radical 3 plus 5 over radical 3 minus 5? So what we notice right off the bat is there's a radical in the denominator of the given, right? You have this radical 3, and that's a big no-no. You can't leave the denominator unrationalized. And all of the answer choices have completely rationalized denominators. So if you're thinking a good way to start would be to figure out how to rationalize that denominator, then you have the right idea. So that's what we're going to do. So how do you rationalize the denominator of something that has such a form where it's rad 3 plus 5 over radical 3 minus 5? In order to do this, we need to multiply by what's called the conjugate. The conjugate is the same thing as what you currently see in the denominator, except that it has the opposite sign. So we want to multiply both the top and the bottom of this expression by root 3 plus 5, which is the conjugate of that denominator. Root 3 plus 5 over root 3 plus 5. Now what allows us to do this? Well, root 3 plus 5 over root 3 plus 5, this expression here just equals 1. And you can always multiply an expression by 1 and it still equals the same thing. So that's why it's okay to do this. Okay, so what happens to the numerator when we multiply root 3 plus 5 quantity times root 3 plus 5 quantity? These are two binomials, so we have to FOIL. So we have to do root 3 times root 3, which is just 3, plus 5 times root 3, plus the other 5 times the other root 3, so that's another plus 5 times root 3. And lastly, plus 5 times 5, which is 25. And we're going to simplify that in a minute, but let's take a look at the denominator. As we do the denominator, we also have a binomial. So again, we have to FOIL. So we have root 3 times root 3, which is 3. Then we have root 3 times positive 5, so that's plus 5 root 3. Then we have negative 5 times root 3, which is negative 5 root 3. And then we have negative 5 times positive 5, that's negative 25. So now let's simplify both of these. The numerator becomes 3 plus 25 is 28. And 5 rad 3 plus 5 rad 3 is 10 radical 3. And the denominator, notice those middle terms, the 5 radical 3 positive and 5 radical 3 negative, are going to cancel out, right? Because these are just the opposite of each other. And it's good that they do, because we wouldn't want to have a radical in the denominator, or else our answer wouldn't be rationalized anyway. And that's really why we use the conjugate. That's what the conjugate does. It takes a situation where you have two terms, where one's a radical and the other is not, and it gets rid of that just by the way these two middle terms are working. So now we just have to do 3 minus 25. That's what's left. So 3 minus 25 is negative 22. And we can divide, everything here is divisible by 2, so we can divide both the top and the bottom by 2. So I'm going to do that in one step, and I'm also going to bring that negative out in front so that it's in front of the whole fraction. That's the way it's presented in some of the answer choices. So I'm dividing everything by 2. 14 plus 5 root 3 all over 11. And that matches with answer choice 1.